to see this through to the end. So
yeah, man, I'm about to Gordon Ramsay it up. I'm gonna scream for Danielle to grab things randomly.
If you're not excited about anything else, you can be excited to see how that's going. So how are we cooking the steak today?
I'm a medium rare guy. She's a medium girl, so it's pretty easy for the most part. If she was like well done, I'd be like, ugh. I don't believe in that. Yeah, dude, I'm not one of those well done people. I think if you're well done, then that's you're well out of my talking space. Not a big well done person.
Getting into sports, a couple of stories here, like a couple of little things just to clean up. I guess we can start with, that wasn't recently, it happened, I think, today the vote happened to extend the playoffs officially to 16 teams, so it'll be 3 wild cards instead of 2. What's your overall feeling about extending it? With now so just to explain it before we get your reaction, it's instead of 2 wild cards, there's going to be 3, and instead of 2 buys, the 1 and 2, it'll be number 1 gets a bye, and then 2 plays the 7 seed, who's the new team that's been added. So only 1 team gets a bye, and all 3 of them. Yeah, so that's basically the format. How did you feel about it? Any strong feelings one way or the other?
I hate it. It's just the NFL looking for more money, personally. I hate it because it would have been the Steelers and the Rams this year in the playoffs. And when you look at those 2 teams, neither was a playoff team. I mean, the Steelers had Duck Hodges out there, whatever his name is, or Mason Rudolph. And then the Rams, they got whooped by the Cowboys 2 weeks prior. So it's kind of like it's not really a team, either team you look at that really deserves to be in there. Like, do we need to see the Steelers and the Chiefs in the first round of the playoffs? I think no. I don't think we –
Yeah, last year it would have been, I think the 2 teams that got in, it would have been the Steelers and the Rams, I believe. I think those would have been the 2 teams, which I say now, I think the only reason that I'm all for more football, and when it comes time and there's 3 games on instead of 2, and you have like more stuff to bet on and it's more entertainment and everything. But if you're the 1 seed now and you're getting in a bye and nobody else does, like I don't think any team has even made it to the Super Bowl since 2012. And that was the Ravens, I think, that year. So if you don't get a bye, it's a big disadvantage. I was looking it up. The last 2 teams to win the Super Bowl were number 2 seeds. So, I mean, I don't know how it's going to affect everything, but it seems like too much of an advantage. And, the reason they did all this was obviously to make more money. It's also more of an advantage, too, if you think about it. When they start playing 17 games, only one of the teams is not going to have to play that extra game, so it's even more of an advantage for the 1 seed. And being that the Lions are never going to be a 1 seed, I mean, we have a better chance of being a 7 seed than a 1 seed. But
I'm just not big on the fact that like we're almost just like it's almost like you're kind of devaluing the playoff team, because even as a Cowboys fan, we would have been in multiple playoff scenarios most likely at this point. But you kind of look at it, you're like, okay, but the teams that would have been in these past 5 years, let's really look at it. I don't think there's a need for it. It's going to keep everyone involved more because there's going to be teams on the fence every year that just don't make it that now have a shot. But I still don't agree with doing that.
Yeah, I think I talked about it last week or the week before that when they come out with that in the hunt graphic on week 16, week 17, it's like half the league already. So it's like nobody's going to be mathematically eliminated until week 17. So it's just going to keep more people like thinking they have a chance.
Yeah, and it's just like I mean I get it, but at the same time I'm not a fan of it. Just don't like I feel like the NFL season I think has the best like of everything when it comes to it's not too long. It's got the right amount of teams in the playoffs. Like it's just got a lot of everything where there's a lot of balance. And now we start just kind of devaluing it, throwing another team in there just because like I'm personally not a fan of it, but I mean I know other people will because now their teams will have a shot. I'm sure the Cowboys will probably benefit from this in the next 3 years most likely, but it doesn't mean like I mean, I just don't look at it and just think, yeah, this is what I want. I really don't want that. I mean, like, do we want to see possibly, like, like I said, do you want to see Hodges facing Patrick Mahomes, and do you want to see the Rams playing the 49ers? The Rams playing the Packers, that may have been a better game. But even then, I'm just like,
Yeah, also, and then imagine your team is the 2 seed, and then the 1 seed, you miss out on by 1 game, and then you have to play an entire extra game. Now
it's just something I'm not really into as a whole. I mean, I get it. Like I said, I'm into the fact that we're trying to change stuff in the CBA. I personally thought the NFL players really lost the CBA. And when it comes down to like needs and what guys were looking to get, like, yeah, you can smoke weed, but your contracts aren't fully guaranteed anymore, guys. Like, you have like they really. I thought the NFL CBA. That's the one thing that the problem has. I mean, the NFL Players Union is actually one of the worst players union there is. When you look at the income they put in, they have the smallest like pool of income as players compared to other leagues.
Yeah, they gained a little bit of money, but I mean, like you said, they just kind of held this over them too, because another thing I was reading is they wanted to do this in 2014, but they already had the CBA pretty much hammered out. So they held this over the players. Like, the owners have the advantage of not having a 3.5-year average career. Like, they can think about a CBA 5 years from now. They're probably already thinking about the CBA 10 years from now, because they know the players are never going to be able to sit out. So they're just going to continue to lose. And like, yeah, now you can smoke weed, but now you have to play an extra game too. So now you're really going to need to.
Yeah, like, I mean, I get the whole, like, yeah, well, now we're like, we can do like this and that, but it's like, you really didn't win anything as a whole, though. Like, I mean, there was nothing that was really like they came out and were just like victorious on. I personally thought. I really thought as a whole the team just kind of the players union kind of just dropped the ball on these guys, because I think the players union, every time we hear about it, they never get enough blame for how poor they really are. Honestly, it's like, it's not that I think that the owners union is that much, like the NFL's union is that much better in the ownership, but I just think that honestly they just do a very bad job on getting guys ready for that stuff when it comes to like negotiations and things going on and such.
I think one of the other stories, we were talking about it right before it came on. So usually players, if one guy goes to a new team, you see a lot on Hard Knocks, they'll make a big deal about showing this, is if one guy wants another guy's number coming from another team, he'll end up paying him a certain amount of money. It's usually like 40 or 50,000 or something like that, depending on how much the player makes. But we were kind of making fun of, I think, Chris Godwin, because obviously he had number 12, and then Tom Brady's going to want to have the number 12. He just gave it up for free. And the only argument you can make on Chris Godwin's behalf is, well, you need the guy throwing you the ball to be on your side. So you don't want to, like you said, obviously Tom Brady can afford it. He could probably have given him like $1.2 million and been fine.
Yeah. I mean, because it's, I just look at the whole the number thing when people are looking at it. It's like, I mean, of course, Tom Brady's going to get the number from anyone pretty much just because the fact of who he is and every play. I mean, if you're a receiver and you hear Tom Brady's now my quarterback, I don't care what anyone says about, oh, he can't do this and that anymore. Like, people are going to jump on all that. But at the end of the day, guys would be plenty of happy to have Tom Brady as their quarterback as a whole receivers. You just feel like you can win more. It's LeBron effect.
Yeah, you said instead of taking the money, Tom Brady didn't give him money for the jersey number. He gave him a quarterback that's not going to throw picks.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing, dude. I don't get this whole love with Jameis Winston. I mean, Jameis Winston didn't have this much love going in last year. He was getting made fun of left and right. Now all of a sudden nobody wants him. Everyone's like, oh, whoa, he's a franchise quarterback. Says who?
Well, I think we went over this a lot last week, but it's not that people should be like regarded as like a top 10 guaranteed guy to be signed, but he definitely shouldn't be in the territory of not being a starter or not even being on a team. But I was saying earlier, I think at this point, as close as the draft is, and with the whole coronavirus thing going on, people aren't going to be able to get medicals on Cam Newton. They're not going to be able to get any like further tryouts or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just going to wait to see what teams do in the draft, and if anything's left over after that, we'll start seeing these guys get signed.
I really thought Jameis' spot was going to be Chicago. Chicago was the one that I thought it was going to be. But the trade for Nick Foles, I look at that as like, why would you trade? I thought that Nick Foles contract was like ridiculous to even have in the first place. And Chicago's really, really like, you can almost tell that they're giving up on Trubisky completely now.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, either way, it works out badly for them, because let's say if Trubisky beats out Foles, then you just traded for a backup, like the assets that you could have kept, that you're not necessarily a team that has everything figured out. If you're not the Bears aren't in the position that the Jaguars were, where they were a Nick Foles away when they had that defense, and everybody's still on the defense down in Jacksonville. They have the Bears are not that close. I don't think they're not a Nick Foles away. And then on the other hand, if Nick Foles does beat out Trubisky, then you're pretty much shutting the book on an era of a guy that you traded up to get, passed on Patrick Mahomes for, and even Mahomes, or was that the Watson draft and the Mahomes draft was the same one, right?
Yeah, it was the Watson Mahomes, man. I couldn't believe they gave up. They didn't go for Watson. I mean, of course, everyone's gonna say Mahomes now because it's Patrick Mahomes. But at the same time, like Watson was the guy that I thought coming out of college may have been like that. That's the guy I thought should have been the 1 pick. And when teams kept passing, I couldn't believe Chicago did, especially that they traded up for Trubisky, a guy that only played like 12 games at North Carolina, and his biggest win was against Florida State.
And anybody that watched college football, you can always look back at the drafts and stuff. I love to look back at Lions drafts and just be like, oh, what an idiot that our GM is and all this kind of stuff. But there's things when you look back on it, and hindsight's 2020. But looking back on it, everybody at the time was kind of like, you're trading up for Trubisky. Like, first of all, the 49ers weren't going to draft him anyways, and then you gave up all this. You gave up all this to trade up for him, and then you look at teams. You look at teams generally that trade up in the draft compared to teams that trade back. Look what San Fran got for that deal. They're in the Super Bowl, and then you look at where the Bears are. They're already trying to replace him.
Yes.
And then,
I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
You're looking at like what Chicago is really trying to do with the Khalil Mack deal. It's like, okay, you get Khalil Mack. I'm almost more shocked they're not trying to add more defense and really stack more defense. Like, I thought if they would have traded for Ngakoue, that would have made more sense because you're trying to go after Giannis because you have a great defense that you're building around. I just don't look at it as like I thought there was enough free agent quarterbacks out there for you to try to build off them versus trying to build off of Khalil Mack and then that's it. Like I think you really have to load the defense up for a quarterback poor offense like that.
Yeah, if you're trying to go off the model of what Jacksonville was trying to do, they had the defense. They had the defense. I mean, it's almost the same thing, but the Bears, to me, the Bears don't have that defense.
No.
To where Jacksonville had it. And now Jacksonville does the smart thing. They get out from under the Foles contract, and now they're rebuilding. And then you get something for them from a team that I don't think there was going to be that many offers out there for Foles. So I think they kind of got the best of what they could get for him.
Yeah, and Jacksonville did the right thing by just getting rid of him because I thought the contract was stupid in the first place, and then they really solidified it once they got rid of him. I thought that was the right thing too, dude.
I'm trying to find it here. I don't even see where do the Bears pick in the first round? I'm trying to find it and I don't see it.
Well, it goes to Oakland. Oakland's got the pick, and I think it's like top 15, maybe outside top 15.
Yeah, so I mean that's just telling you right there. If they're trading, they know they can't draft another quarterback to replace Trubisky. They're just trying to have like a gap year or something. But when you're in a division with Aaron Rodgers and even what people want to say about Stafford. I mean, Foles is Foles still going to be the worst quarterback in that division? I'm trying. Behind Kirk Cousins.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely behind Kirk Cousins. He's behind Stafford. I mean, if for some reason Detroit decides they want to go after quarterback, I believe Tua has a better potential than he does.
Yeah, I'm hoping they don't at this point. Everybody's saying they're probably going to trade back, but I would be happy with any of those guys like Isaiah Simmons and then.
Get out of here.
I don't want Jeff Okudah. I made my thoughts known about that, but you know what I mean.
Well, Okudah, man. The thing about Okudah that I'm not like, I just don't look at him drafting third overall. I mean,
I think they would trade back for somebody who wants to draft Tua, maybe for like the Dolphins or the Chargers or something like that. Yeah, I mean, you don't see a ton of teams at the top. I mean, unless somebody does something crazy. So Minshew is going to be the quarterback for Jacksonville this year, right? That's who they have starting right now.
Yeah, so far Minshew, which I mean, people can have their opinion on that one. I'd be shocked if someone like Jameis Winston doesn't get a call to Jacksonville. I think he rightfully should, realistically. I mean, yeah, I don't think Gardner Minshew's better than Jameis Winston. As much as critical as I am on Jameis Winston, I'm not a Gardner Minshew guy. I'm just.
I was kind of thinking for 9 at that spot for the Jags was somebody like Herbert, who I know you like a lot.
I like Herbert, but I mean, I think Herbert's also one of those guys that has to be with like a offense that's just. I mean, they got to have a guy that can really work with that skill set because Herbert's not as good as like someone like as Love is when it comes to being off script. You know, like I feel like Herbert has to have everything go his way, and Jacksonville doesn't have a lot of that on the team, especially offensively.
Yeah, and they're also by trading Foles, Jacksonville I think has pretty much proven that they are in like full rebuild mode. So I would say that they're probably just going to go best available player. I'm just kind of looking at because they're at 9, you have the Cardinals at 8. They're not going to draft a quarterback. Panthers already have Bridgewater. I mean the Chargers at 6. It could be you have the teams that are going to take quarterbacks. I think are probably the Bengals. We know are probably going to take Burrow, and then you have Dolphins and Chargers. So probably those two teams wind up with Tua and Herbert in some kind of order, unless you have some team that wants to trade up. I did hear that there was a report today that the Dolphins are. I mean, everybody's interested in trying to get the number 1 pick, but the Dolphins.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, the Dolphins were interested in getting the number 1 pick. And normally you say, like, oh, you can just dismiss it, but they actually have, like, the draft capital to do it. What I was going to ask is, do you think it would be enough, and would you trade all 3 of those first-round picks for somebody like Burrow, or do you just kind of wait it out and maybe you're in a similar position next year?
Definitely not for Burrow. I mean, here's my thing. If it wasn't for the fact that Tua had that hip injury, 1, do they lose to LSU? And 2, do they really, like, is he really not the better prospect? Because Tua's been the best prospect for 2 or 3 years they've been talking about now. So I feel like it's okay to wait and let a guy learn, especially at that position where it's such a cerebral position, you know? I think trading a lot of draft picks would go against everything Miami's trying to do, and that's having draft capital, and that's just being a team that has more draft capital and more to work with than other teams do.
Yeah, I can see them maybe trying to trade back and still draft Tua or maybe Herbert if they like him better. Because if they were able to trade that 3rd pick and trade back, they could wind up with another first next year. I mean, they have a lot to be able to rebuild with. And it's only because Minkah Fitzpatrick was so good that their other pick is not higher. I think the one that they got from Pittsburgh was 18th. I mean, once Roethlisberger goes out, if the Pittsburgh season doesn't go 8-8, they could have had 2 picks inside like the top 12 or something like that. I mean,
and if Minkah would have just been a grown up and just like actually accepted a process instead of a spoiled brat that he was being, and just like he was complaining this and right about the team's not. Dude, sometimes you have to understand not every team's Alabama. They're not going to just come out. You don't get to pick your team, and I get people are against that, but you know it is the NFL. You have to. There is a process. Like you said, I felt like Minkah decided to give up on the Dolphins and not play as well as he should have. I thought he could have always played that way, but there were just times you could tell his body language was just showing it. And it's a team that, honestly, when you look at free agency, they've done free agency pretty well.
Yeah,
they're not overspending.
Yeah, you knew they were going to come out and spend a lot because they had a lot to spend, but I don't think any of the deals that they made are necessarily like – I mean, the Byron Jones one was obviously going to be a huge contract, but now you have
but we thought that was going to be the starting bid too.
Yeah, now you have Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, who you can argue is there a better 2 corners that any team has in the league? I mean, I can't think of it offhand. I'm trying to think who's the second corner for New England. I can't think of it offhand, but yeah, but whether or not you can think of a better one, like especially offhand, but they're going to wind up. That's a good place to start your defense. The only thing they don't really have pass rushers, so they can wind up doing a lot in the draft. That's going to be one of the more interesting teams, especially when they go 5-11. People thought they were going to win like 1 or 2 games. I know I've talked about. Yeah. I lost a $100 bet at my fantasy football draft. That was who's going to have a better season, the Lions or the Dolphins. And even with Stafford getting hurt, I still thought I was going to win that one. And somehow the Lions
Jeff
still
Driscoll.
Yeah. David Blau. I had hopes for him. I think it was in like the Thanksgiving game or the week before that, and I was like, yeah, this could work out. It didn't work out.
Well, we used to. Oh yeah, you played us Thanksgiving. Not us Thanksgiving. The game before, game after Thanksgiving. It's within that game before Thanksgiving, I think it was. But I mean, when you look at Miami as a whole, people are really I mean, I just don't see Miami going all out because they did trade a lot. I mean, they got rid of. For some reason, people thought Kenny Stills was a big part of their team. I don't know why they did, but they did. And they got rid of him. But they got rid of a left tackle, Laramie Tunzel. They got rid of a young prospect at safety with Minkah Fitzpatrick. They got rid of a lot. I don't see them just going all in on Burrow. I see them. I mean, there's a lot of – you could go after another receiver to complement Devontae Parker. You could go after some more defense after you draft a quarterback 5.
Dan said it was Devin McCourty. I couldn't remember that one. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a safety. Yeah.
Yeah. And he also said the Jaguar King. That's pretty funny. Have you guys watched Tiger King at all?
Yes, I did. I was actually not a lot of things make me say what the hell, but that did every single 10 minutes, man.
Everybody's talking about it too, but it's like once you see it, you're like, what the hell is going on here?
Well, that's the thing. It made no sense. You're like, bro, what is this?
Yeah, I heard somebody's like, yeah, the most incredible thing is Joe Exotic. He turned 2 straight because think it's Izzy Gutierrez on Levitard's show. He said he turned 2 straight guys gay. It's like a gay guy can get another gay guy, but he turned 2 straight guys gay, and one of them was without even doing it with meth. So
yeah, man. Like
only 50% of them used meth.
Thank God they didn't want to. Thank God they weren't watching Breaking Bad and dealing with tigers.
Oh man. What else was I gonna say? The John Jones thing. I was kind of sad.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah. It's like
stop with him.
It's like we're gonna have to create a Josh Gordon All Stars. It's like Josh Gordon, John Jones.
Yeah, but the thing with John Jones is like the thing that I think the worst thing about John Jones out of every athlete that has issues is John Jones is the best at his sport, pound for pound. Like people can make their arguments what they want, but I'm like, John Jones doesn't lose. Like you can say, oh, he also sits back and he plays points. I'm like, but he still doesn't lose. Like everyone wants to give what's his face the title for being pound for pound. It's Cormier. He lost to him twice. Cormier lost twice.
Yeah, there's other guys you could argue, like if you're saying pound for pound, you're going like outside of weight class. So like Demetrius Johnson is one of the guys that comes to mind.
I like Usman a lot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, UFC. I've been getting a lot more into it recently, but John Jones has been my favorite. Like even his more recent fights, and it's like, at what point can you not call it a comeback story? It's like he comes back and did you guys read like the details on the story?
Yeah, dude. It's I mean. He's like
he doesn't protect the chicken enough, is what Stretch is saying. Like Marshawn Lynch said.
He's just like, bro, he is legit. Like, I don't know, and by all means, like I said, if he's watching this and gets pissed off, I'm sorry. But I mean, like, he really is like the guy that you look at. It's like, how is he gonna screw up next? Like, how?
Yeah, and he's gonna keep on getting opportunities because it's the UFC and because he's so good. I mean, if this was another sport, he would not even have a chance. But I mean, if you can fight, then you're going to get more opportunities. But if anyone didn't read the details on the story, it's like, how do you get arrested during a quarantine? First of all, but basically the details, he was like driving around in his Jeep, and then a cop heard a gunshot, pulls the Jeep over because he sees it driving away from the area. John Jones like looks at his eyes like watery and blurry, so he takes him out. There's like a bottle of tequila. There's like a 75% gone bottle of tequila, and I love tequila, but Jesus,
you don't. John Jones love tequila.
And I think it's like smelled like weed too. And then there's like a spent bullet. So you're like driving around, getting hammered, and then shooting your gun. Like you're just asking to get caught. I mean,
it's a shame, man, because he truly is. Like I said, when we talk about fighters, I mean, I don't think there's a fighter. Everyone can say there's state. I mean, the only fighter that I've seen in my lifetime that's been better than him pound for pound, I mean, just in his overall career, I think is honestly Anderson Silva. But I still think because of Silva's back into the career, John passes him.
Yeah, and Silva, he has like a similar type of attitude. But and then it's even more disheartening because if you look back before John Jones's last fight, and it's kind of just the way they market it, but all of it was about like how far he's come and like what he's done over the past year. And all like getting the opportunity and stuff like that, and it's like even for UFC, if you're Dana White, eventually you have to be like, I can't keep like representing. But you know, people will be on the mindset of this guy's a millionaire. He has to fight for a living and do what he loves, so they're not going to have sympathy for him. But people are going to tune in to see him lose. I mean, people tuned in to see Floyd Mayweather lose for years. They would still tune in now if Floyd fought because they want to see
Ask him how that went.
Who, Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah.
What do you mean? It went pretty well. I mean,
well, no, that's what I'm talking about. The people that wanted to see him lose. I'm like, people wanted to see that guy lose because of just his arrogance and stuff on that. But I was like, you know what? Same with, like you said, similar to John Jones. People do want to see him lose. They just don't like him. But it's like at the same time, guys, these are fighters. These are guys who fight for a living. What do you want from them? Like, what do they really like? I'm not trying to say they're all dumb, but they're all not smart. I mean, they fight for a living. There's no scholar fighting for a living.
There's a difference between that and I mean, yeah, if you look at like Greg Hardy's involved in it, so I mean,
yeah, like if you like that's what I'm saying. Like if you're a washed up NFL player, then you go fighting next. Like yeah, that's the route.
You hit your girlfriend and then you just go to the UFC, but I don't know. I just thought it was disappointing. It was unfortunate timing for him too, with like nothing else going on. It's going to be like one of the main stories.
He's always.
I haven't heard.
I feel like
about it, but Yeah, I don't know. Anything else that you got going on right now? How the stakes going?
Takes, man. I'm looking. I mean, I saw Brooklyn's whole report. Brooklyn's looking to trade a lot of their young depth to go after a third star. I'm not against it. I like it if it's a score.
Yes, I forgot that I saw you guys talking about this in the group chat. And so what was it? Stretch was saying that Kyrie was top 10, and you said that he only says that to use an argument against you.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't actually believe that at all. Stretch doesn't believe that. Stretch doesn't. Nobody here. If I said on air with you guys right now that Kyrie Irving at this moment is a top 10 player, you guys would think I'm an idiot, including Stretch. But for some reason, Stretch believes that.
I could maybe at this point in the league, you could almost say there's 10 better point guards, and maybe you could just say that because I haven't seen him play in a while. But
yeah, I mean, you can make an argument that Spencer Dinwiddie's almost as similar as he is.
Yeah.
I won't make that argument, but
no, I mean he's when you're talking about a guy who's Kyrie, even whatever you want to say about those early Cavaliers teams and how little help he had and what he did when LeBron wasn't there compared to when he did. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie was talked about as like a sixth man, and as well as he's come on, he's not. If he's your backup point guard, you're doing pretty well. If he's your starting point guard, not really gonna. You're gonna be like an 8 seed or a 7 seed, which we saw this year.
I was really because when we were talking about it, I said the thing that I want to see us go after, of course, is another score, and that's the big talk they want to go after as well. And I think it's another score is what makes sense for Brooklyn because, I mean, we have DeAndre Jordan, and I'm not saying he's going to be our go-to big man, but when you look at the league, you're not really looking at big men to take over any team anymore. That's not a thing that happens.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm getting like more and more. Worried that the NBA season is not going to come back at all. But what are the Kyrie contract and the Durant contract? Are those both max contracts?
Yes, well, they're under max contracts. Kyrie, Durant are both under max contracts, so they could sign, let's just face it, so they could sign DeAndre Jordan. So they only have 2 max contracts, and they have a lot of Dinwiddie's contract, LeVert's extension contract. They have some contracts that aren't like – those only 2 contracts that are big for them are those 2, Kyrie and Kevin. Yeah. So getting rid of Dinwiddie, LeVert, and Jared Allen could make to find another star if you were looking for one, including picks, of course.
Yeah, so they're not in a position like how the Clippers are, at least, because if like I was saying, if the Clippers the season doesn't end up happening next year, if it doesn't go well for the Clippers next year, like everything they traded for Paul George, those guys can both leave, and you did all that for one season, you might not even win a championship.
Well, the biggest loser in this is LeBron James.
Well, you think they were going to win this year?
Well, it's not that I thought they're going to win this year. It's just he's fighting age now. Like it's like if the NFL season gets canceled, the biggest loser as a player is Tom Brady.
You know, they just put out the statement too that both the Lakers players that tested positive for coronavirus are symptom free now. You know, we've heard mostly all the names of the players who got it. I know there's like medical HIPAA laws where you can't like disclose it, but it kind of makes me think it might have been like Anthony Davis or LeBron who got it, and that's why we don't know. That's
what I think too, because Kevin Durant got it, and he's in I felt like a major player would get it because they're surrounded by so many different people all the time.
Yeah, if it would have been like Rondo, we would have heard about it. But if it's like one of those bigger name guys, it didn't get out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely.
Yeah, Dan said that Godwin switched to number 14.
Yeah,
I don't know.
14.
I would have tried to get some money out of it. I don't know.
I mean, 14, hey, like I said, I think there are some Tampa fans that are angry, and I don't get it. I think it's a good thing. I think, personally, they made a great move with what they did.
What, they're mad that they got Brady?
Yeah, that they got Brady. There are some Tampa fans legit upset about it. I won't understand why they are, but they are.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. I mean, like you said, it's pretty much going to – and I'm more on Jameis' side as far as he should be a starter. But, I mean, if you think that you can win this year and you don't want to pay Jameis the money, I mean, after – what was it, like a 2-year contract? So after the next 2 years, if you wanted to sign Jameis, you would have had to sign him to like a – well, I guess we're saying now that you wouldn't have had to sign him to a big deal. But I wouldn't –
I mean, really?
Yeah, so pretty much – he wanted to have an Eastern Conference cruise ship and a Western Conference cruise ship, and then just have the players and their families on there for like 40 days and just play out the playoffs.
Okay, that's different.
It seems crazy, but I mean, it's better than no basketball. I mean, it's never going to happen, but at least he's coming up with ideas.
But Spencer Dinwiddie had like a whole tournament planned out he was trying to do.
Yeah, I actually had that written down in my notes. The only note I wrote was to call his nickname the Din Wizard.
The
it
Din
wasn't
Wizard.
it wasn't really worth writing down, but I thought of the nickname the Din Wizard. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, like I said, he is some people really like the idea that he created. I looked into it. I thought, like I said, I think I just think they're going to pack sports to the end of the year, and that's what they should do. I think that everyone should have some time off, and everyone does need some time on us to figure out what's going on. I mean, you can't just throw guys out there right now.
Yeah.
As soon as people.
No, go ahead.
I mean, as soon as people come back out after this stuff, it's going to be all back out there that you're going to get. I mean, people are going to get sick again as soon as everything gets let up. So it's like we can't just let the players out now. We almost have to protect the players. College sports have to be done because I think if a kid's not getting paid to play, you can't go out there and expect him to be out there playing for you right now. Pro athletes a little different.
Yeah, the thing that worried me was Kirk Herbstreit was saying that college football might not even happen next year. I mean, because if it takes a while for everything to settle down, you can't have kids out there. I mean, even though it starts in late August. I mean, I don't know. If college football didn't happen, I don't even know what I would do, honestly. Especially if
you usually hate everything Kirk Herbstreit says. So the fact you're worried about something he said makes me worried about you now.
This just makes me hate him even more as he's predicting that college football is not going to happen. I was looking up Michigan odds to win the other day. I was already looking at, and it wasn't too bad of odds, honestly.
What was it?
I think it was 23-1, something like that.
Okay, 23-1.
Yeah, it might have been. I don't really remember. It was either 23-1 or 11-1.
23-1 is kind of favorable there, I feel like.
Yeah. But and then the whole thing that's going on right now with giving spring athletes with spring sports, I mean, it's not the ones that people generally watch a ton. I think we're talking about baseball and everything, but they're talking about giving the kids an extra year of eligibility. But then you come into the whole thing of you have people coming in from high school, and you only have a certain number of scholarships. So I can't imagine. I mean, you played high school football too. Can you imagine if you're a senior and you just don't get to play your season?
Playing baseball, I said, if I was playing baseball as a high school student right now, I said the first thing I'd be looking for is a waiver if I wasn't committed already, so you can come back and play the next year. So you get that opportunity. I think that's going to happen a lot more, and people are giving it credit for. I think high school is going to give out waivers for kids to play, because if you're not one of those top prospect kids already, especially in something like baseball, then you're going to be if you're a top prospect, you're already signed, or you know where you're going, or this and that. But for the majority population who isn't, they need another year most likely, because they didn't get their senior year. And this is where a lot of scouts and coaches are looking at guys and trying to see, hey, does this kid look like what he should?
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff to figure out. I don't know. I'm happy I'm not in that position to make any of those decisions or anything like that right now.
I wish I was. They're at least getting paid right now.
That's true.
Fuck.
Oh man, I don't know. Well, go ahead.
Well, I know they were talking about right now. Baseball's got a lot of different things. Baseball's not going to allow people to not have eligibility right now because of the fact that they're the rookies still get arbitration. They're going to have a year count against them still, which helps them when it comes to contracting. So that's good to see that baseball stepped up and did that.
Yeah, and another one of the things, speaking of baseball, a similar vein of the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George, is Mookie Betts. The Dodgers, if the season gets cut in half, I mean, the Dodgers only have him for this year, so.
And that's a great point right there that I honestly never really quite thought of, just because the fact that when you look at the team like the Dodgers, they are building to win right now. They're not building to win down the road. They're not building to win in a couple of years. They're building to win now. So That's one of those things that they kind of need to do that, because Mookie, the thing that kind of helps them is they almost got Mookie and David Price for nothing in a sense, because they're not even paying all of David Price's contract.
Yeah. we were talking to Rona, and we were talking about the contract status and everything like that. So if Mookie Betts does wind up going in 1 year older into free agency, so we were saying, if they're not saying that these contracts count, for the Paul George and Kawhi thing, if they have to play another year to fulfill the contract because they're not technically getting the year of service, then that's a ton of money for Mookie Betts because teams aren't going to pay as much for it. Doesn't seem like a lot, but for a guy who's 1 year older going into free agency, like it's a big difference.
Well, in baseball, age plays a bigger difference than I think any sport because I mean, you got guys like Carmelo Anthony that can still sign onto a team, and you got guys, and football like Tom Brady that can still find a demand at their age. Baseball, if you're too old, I mean, it's one of those sports that they're finding ways to replace older talent with younger talent very quickly these days.
Well, especially if all things are being equal, you're going to get the younger guys for cheaper. So you're not seeing like the older guys hang around as long unless they got those contracts, unless they lined up their second or third contracts in a perfect amount of time.
Yeah.
Trying to think. They'll talk about the Tony Ferguson and Khabib fight might still happen, which I'm hoping for anything at this point. I think that would be a really good fight. They're talking about Justin Gaethje might fight because Khabib right now is saying that he's stuck in Russia and he can't travel.
Yeah, I saw that, which I really hope the Khabib fight does happen for that fact.
Now they're saying, I mean, Tony Ferguson's camp is pretty much saying that Khabib is just saying that he's stuck in Russia because he wants the fight to happen in Russia.
Well, Tony Ferguson's also one to just like point the fingers and act like Khabib. He keeps attacking Khabib verbally. Like when people say Khabib is like scared or he's running, it's like no, like he probably can't leave Russia. Like that's like Russia's probably very serious about what's going on, like other countries are right now. We're actually considered like one of the least serious countries about things, so I could see where that's a legit issue.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to happen like a couple of weeks from now, like 2 or 3 weeks from now, in the middle of April or something like that. But that and the draft is all we really have to look forward to right now. I know Phil Mickelson was talking about doing another one-on-one match with Tiger Woods, where it's just like them and 2 caddies and like 1 cameraman, which, I mean, I would watch, but those guys are more names at this point, drawing in like casual golf fans.
Yeah, they're 10 years too late for that.
It reminded me almost of the Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fight.
Yes, exactly. I was just about to say that.
We wanted to see you guys do this. I mean, even when they did it a couple years ago on Thanksgiving, I watched it. But they could have done it better and they could have done it sooner, honestly. But with everything, the way that everything's streaming online now, I think that if any sport can come back right now and do anything, they're going to get. I think that's one of the reasons Dana White wants to keep the fight going is because he knows how many people will watch. He probably saw the ratings from that one UFC fight night that was like Friday a couple of weeks ago. He probably saw the numbers from that and realized that that's the only thing that people are going to be able to watch. And he's going to have this opportunity to get like the most eyes on his sport.
And he's lost so many stars now when it comes to John Jones, Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor. I mean, he doesn't have his usual star group anymore, so he really can't afford to lose on ratings now. Damn it! Like that's not a thing he can. That's not something that I think Dana can just sit back and I think that's what's coming down to with Dana's. Dana's more about like, I'm not saying he's not about the health of his players right now, but I do believe he's more about the fact that hey, I have a business to still run. And that's the route he's going to go off of it because we could not have the NFL for 2 years, but everyone's going to jump back on the NFL if we didn't have it. NBA, same thing. He doesn't have that luxury. He's already losing a ton of star power, a ton of guys. I think it's not coming to the point for him to where it's like, still go on.
That just reminded me of this when you were talking about losing out on like the time and everything like that. And you were saying that LeBron might be one of the guys that's most affected. But, I was thinking LeBron is one of those guys who takes care of his body almost as well as anybody in sports. Like he spends literally millions of dollars a year on like the latest like workouts and science and diet and all this stuff. So I could see him coming back. And, obviously everyone is, once you get older, you start to lose a step or two, but everyone's always compared him to Jordan, and then people will be like, oh, he's more like Magic Johnson. His game, I mean, he's not going to be doing as much as far as like chasing people down for blocks and like dunking on the offensive end and stuff like that. But you can see him transition into a period like hell. He was leading the league before it stopped this year in assists. I mean, how many years could he do that in a row if he wanted to?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's something. It's not that I don't think that LeBron's not going to be able to continue that, but age is a thing, and people say if they want. I mean, a decline eventually happens, and declines with star players do happen kind of rather quickly. Like that, we watched Peyton Manning look like he could win, and all of a sudden just drop the hell off. We could see the same with Tom in the next year, possibly. We saw that with, Michael, even though people say, oh, yeah, he averaged 20 points in Washington. Who else was really on those Washington teams, though? It wasn't like it was on a star-studded team dropping 20 a game,
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty ironic too. I don't know if ironic's the right word, but for Bucks fans, and this is what worried me about the Lions signing all these Patriots guys. Like we signed four guys from the Patriots defense. We have Patriots that came from there on the coaching staff. And the Patriots, say what you want about them. If you hate them, you think they cheat, but they always do seem to get out from guys at the right time. I mean, if you look what they did,
it's never been a question.
If you look what they did with Jamie Collins and literally got the best out of him. He went to the Browns, was terrible, came back, and then got him on a cheap contract again. So it would come.
Didn't he have a federal crime when he was with the Browns or something crazy like that?
I mean, it's the Browns, so anything's possible. And I think Josh Gordon was there at the time, so I wouldn't put anything past it. But I cannot confirm nor deny.
Confirm or deny.
But if it would be ironic if it turns out that the Patriots were right, and then Tom Brady just falls off a cliff this season, which I don't think that's going to happen, but that would just kind of solidify, they pretty much know what they're doing. But with Godwin and all those offensive weapons, I think he's in such a position to succeed.
The one argument that I really hate is when they say Tom can't throw the deep ball. Why is he going there? It's it's not that he can't throw the deep ball. It's just who's he throwing the deep ball to is also part of it, There's so many.
Yeah, I mean, he had nobody to throw the short ball to, let alone the deep ball last year. So
yeah.
I know what you're saying as far as that goes. So we'll see. I mean, if I was him, I'd just be working out my arm this year, because if you can get it down the field to those guys and not throw picks like you said, it'll definitely be interesting to see. I don't know what pick they have too. It also helps that the Bucks got him in free agency. You don't have to give up anything for him. I mean, that always helps.
And that, like you said, because the Bucks have money to spend, which makes me wonder: are they going to make another move? Or are they going? Because I think what the Bucks should be doing, I think the Bucks should be selling draft picks this year to get one more star talented player around them, whether it's on offense or defense. I preferably think defense would be a move for them to go looking at. Ngakoue would be a great ad, I think, with them, with Shaq Lawson over there, with Devin White, with Vita Vea. I think they could make that move, and I think it's a move because you kind of have to sell out. You just got Tom Brady. You only have 2 years in tops. You're not getting him for 4 years.
Yeah, it'll surprise me. It already surprised me when he left the Patriots the first time. It'll be super surprising if this 2 years ends with the Bucks and then he goes somewhere else. That'll just be a super weird ending to that career.
Yeah, that it would be almost like you would look at it and you're like, why did this even happen? Why was this a thing? Yeah,
but they do have the Bucks have the 14th pick, so I mean that's still a pretty good pick.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I'm not against them trading any type of work. I mean, maybe Bruce Arians likes Love or something. Byron Leftwich, I think, should have a lot of say in the next quarterback they draft, because I don't see Bruce Arians staying past another year or two. They said the successor of that job is supposed to be Leftwich, so maybe they draft a quarterback in the first round to just let someone like Jordan Love, which I know everyone's big on. People love him because of the potential, because quote unquote, he's for some reason got compared to Mahomes. I don't know why, but he did. But I mean,
I'm looking at it right now. They have Mike Evans for 5 years. I'm trying to see how long they have Godwin for. I don't know what his contract status is.
I thought they already signed. I thought they re-signed Godwin. I'm not sure about that though.
Oh my God! Wow. So they have Godwin for 4 years, $3.2 million. That's got to be one of the better. They have him for 4 years and Mike Evans for 5 years. So they got the main two guys locked up. I mean, they have Brate for 6 years. So, I mean, if it goes well after 2 years, he could resign. I mean, you never know.
Oh, man, if he resigns, it's going to be crazy.
If he just winds up going there for another 10 years.
If he just defies time.
Yeah, I think one of the things that wasn't really talked about, too, and this might have been one of the other reasons he went there, other than that once all the details came out, he was just definitely leaving after he heard everything about that. It's $25 million a year for Tom Brady. All $50 million is guaranteed. He could tear his ACL in game one, and it's $50 million guaranteed.
Bro, how the hell is he get a 2 year, $50 million deal and Dak Prescott wants $35 million? Still pisses me off. Upset.
Well, because of age.
Fuck his age.
I think it's just going to be whenever we have the Dak Prescott contract that we all know is coming, and it's going to be like $300 million or something like that. And for your sake, you better just hope that they sign him before Mahomes signs, because after that, the agents, whether it's ridiculous or not, they're going to try to negotiate off the Mahomes contract. But the podcast is just going to be an hour of Rob like sitting in front of a campfire of burning Dak Prescott jersey.
I don't own a jersey of his. I won't own a jersey of his either, man. I just nothing against the guy. I get he works hard, but working hard doesn't. Alex Smith works hard. Guess what? Still not going to win a championship. 2 quarterbacks almost proved that. One's not even allowed to play football anymore.
Oh my God! What if Kaepernick goes to the Patriots?
Jesus Christ, dude! I'm kissing my bicep.
Oh yeah, and then they win the Super Bowl. That would be the sweetest thing of all.
That would be the sweetest thing. As a Lions fan, that would be the sweetest thing.
Well, I mean, we have to deal in realities here. I'm not delusional. I'm just destined. There's some people that are destined to never see their teams win, and you go and you cry in a Smoky Bones bathroom, and then you come back next season and you say, "Hey, we're 23-1. Maybe it's possible." It's not possible, but you talk yourself into it, and then Isaiah Livers, your best player, gets the season cut short, and we don't see if we can win the championship this year. And then he just goes to the NBA draft, and then, from there.
Oh, shit, my bad. No, I see that.
Yeah, Kaepernick, definitely a guy who's not in the NFL, but hopefully we'll see him next year in Bundesliga. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. If Kaepernick signs, man, like I said, I think I'll be in complete disbelief that the NFL's gone to that.